Hey, what's up, everybody? Twin Peaks time, as you know. Yeah, I didn't realize from the title of the video. It is season 3, of course, episode 15, getting down to the end of the season. Yeah, it was another pretty good episode. Some reveals and curious happenings that went on while we're leading us towards our finale, and kind of a or I don't know, bittersweet, but kind of a sad, somber kind of moment with the log lady. I'll talk about that a little bit later, given that it was quite surrealistic, given the fate of the actress who played her in real life not long after this was filmed. But yeah, it was a pretty good episode. I'm curious to see what happens with Cooper after his little accident. I was kind of wondering what the hell is going to happen when he messes with that light socket. I don't know. I'll speak on that when I get to that part of the episode. But yeah, I was a little worried that something in particular was going to happen that may have erased all of the hard work that had gone in trying to find out where the hell he is. But anyway, let's get started. So yeah, I guess I was a little wrong about my assumption with old Ed and Norma in a previous episode. I had thought that given how everything ended in season 2, where, as you recall, Nadine wanted to start a company, for their silent drape runner design, or get it patented. So she and Ed could be millionaires and lead this whole new life, and that didn't end up working out. So she tried to kill herself with some pills, woke up out of the coma, and thought she was a senior in high school again, and thus kind of led the way for Ed and Norma finally getting together, because Ed and Norma were high school sweethearts and whatnot, and for whatever reason, fate dealt them a crappy hand, and Norma had gotten married to a jerk, and Ed had gotten married to a female jerk. And so I thought after that scenario, at the end where Nadine wakes up after getting I think a sandbag hits her on top of the head at the stage at the Miss Twin Peaks contest, and then she wakes up, and of course Mike, Bobby Briggs's friend, and Nadine, who was in her, her 18-year-old high schooler mindset or persona, were an item. And then she wakes up and realizes that Ed is wanting to get a divorce. But I thought that they would have just gone through and had, Ed and Norma get together back then. Well, apparently, I guess Ed never managed to get that divorce from Nadine. But apparently Dr. Amp has and the golden shovel, the shit digging out of your mess shovel, got her to finally decide to let Ed off the hook and let him be free to be with Norma. So I guess now they can finally get together. But I thought that had happened 25 years ago, and make him wait another, make him wait 25 more years. But Norma basically gives the franchise buyout option to the guy that's been trying to smooth talk her, and just decides she's going to run things as it was back in the day. So I guess they're Ed and Norma are finally together after all. It was a little bit confusing. I wasn't quite sure why Ed was still flying solo when we had seen him in his initial appearance this season. All right, in the next scene, we get a little more serious. We have Doppelganger Dale driving on a back highway. Remember last time he was seen, he was somewhere in Montana country, if we remember the arm wrestling incident. And lo and behold, he shows up at the convenience store looking very much like the convenience store we saw in episode 8, with the whole situation with the denizens of the lodge showing up in New Mexico, or at least that's where we assume that convenience store was. So geographically, this part kind of threw me for a loop until I finally before the whole scene was over, I especially when Richard Horn showed up, as he does in a little bit, kind of screwed with me, because I was like, well, the hell did he drive all the way back cross country? And I figured, and then I finally came to the realization that this thing is mobile, this convenience store lodge location, or at least entryway into, not necessarily the lodge, but at least the place where the denizens of the lodge can gather, and in this location. Because remember, Mike and the one-armed man said that they lived above a convenience store, and we see that Phillip Jeffries meeting, or at least meeting that he stumbled upon, was above a convenience store as well. So apparently this convenience store, through whatever powers of those denizens, can manifest itself in certain remote areas or locations by some kind of supernatural laws or physics or whatever. So yeah, I'm like sitting here watching this. I'm like, if that thing doesn't disappear, this makes absolutely no sense. And then, of course, we see the part where it starts to fade in and out, and then it vanishes. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Because otherwise, like, how has Richard followed him he followed him all the way to New Mexico to the same stupid convenience store that we were shown before? So yeah, it worked its way out, worked itself out. But yeah, so we've got Doppelganger Dale showing up, apparently looking for Phillip Jeffries, as this is the location that Ray Monroe had told him that he had last been seen. And remember that Doppelganger is not the same as the woodsmen or the bearded men or whatever. So they're not necessarily beholden to him as far as a power. I mean, he may be a power unto himself in the world of men because of his his supernatural connections, and also his connection with Bob, or at least the entity that is Bob. But yeah, you notice he doesn't. They're not really going off of his orders or his demands or commands. I don't think he has any sway over them. And so you got to keep that in mind. It's not like he's the boss and then he showed up and he's ordering them around. And we see through some kind of, the electrical current, electrical means, we finally get inside of this area, kind of similar to what Gordon saw when he was looking into the vortex. And this guy, this creepy-looking dude with the that flips on the electrical switch behind what I'm not exactly sure if that's supposed to be an old jukebox or radio. He had an equivalent of, at least in the movie, there was a character similar that was sitting in a chair like that. That was also had the staff or kind of walking stick in hand that tapped the ground. And so it was kind of like they were using, I guess, this electrical power usage, whatever, as a means of transporting. I don't know if the staircase is a means by which to get to another location, because when we get to the very top of the stairs and walk outside, it almost looks like, reminds me a lot of the hotel, or I guess it would be motel that Teresa Banks was at least the kind of like a kind of small rinky-dink type motel, kind of a rundown place that he ends up after he walks to the top of the staircase, which I'm assuming is the same staircase that Gordon Cole saw the bearded men on. And we also see the guy, if you were wondering what the little guy in the red outfit with the white mask, little pointed nose, he's another one of the denizens of the lodge that we see in the movie. That he has, I don't know, he's just kind of one of the entities there. And we see him actually a little bit more. He does a little bit more kind of crazy stuff, he's making all these kind of crazy noises and stuff in the extended scene of the scene of the convenience store from Fire Walk with Me. So he's the one who we see his mouth, like we see a shot of his mouth and he's saying electricity or something like that. So, but yeah, I think when Doppelganger gets to this top of the stairs, he's actually out in a completely different location. It's like the convenience store is a means of, like a means by which to transport or to be transported to a different location. I'm not sure if this is all exists within like this one kind of certain dimensional space or not. But you'll notice how when Doppelganger goes to, I'm assuming, either hotel room number 8 or apartment 8, a woman shows up or is walking towards them, and she speaks in the same manner as those that speak within the lodge. That kind of, flipped syllabic pronunciation and phonetic pronunciation that they do to make the words sound all weird. So that, to me, this makes it a little more clear that they're in a, inside of some kind of dimension or kind of between dimensions or something like that. So this where they're at right now isn't exactly out in some apartment complex or hotel complex out in just the middle of suburbia or rural America. There's something supernatural about it, especially when you get inside and you see that Phillip Jeffries is merely transported, or his voice is being transported, or I don't know if his consciousness or whatever is being transported or transferred through that bell-shaped device that we saw in that other room in the White Lodge, actually. So I'm not sure exactly if there's a specific name for that bell-shaped electrical device or a component or whatever, or if it's got an actual name or it's based off of anything, or if it's just kind of an artistic rendering of something. But yeah, there is no Phillip Jeffries there, as far as the guy in the kind of the goofy outfit that David Bowie was wearing when he played the part. Now, initially, I'm not sure if Phillip Jeffries, at least when he recognizes him somehow, says, I don't know if he initially thinks that this is the good Cooper or not, because he seems a bit kind of confused when Doppelganger asks him why he sent Ray to kill him. So I'm not sure if Jeffries thinks this is Good Dale initially or not, but I perhaps not. But I mean, the whole thing seems weird, because if Jeffries is on this, on the good guy's side, and he's in this location that that Evil Dale was able to get to via the denizens of the lodge, either Jeffries is hiding out and he's just been found, or he's been taken captive, perhaps by the denizens of the lodge. It's hard to say, or like this is his ability to communicate in this place is kind of an intermediary. So maybe he's somewhere else. So he's safe from Evil Dale and he's able to communicate here. So maybe this is just kind of a ruse to get him there so that he can, or not, I guess it wouldn't be a ruse, but a ruse to make him think that he's physically located in this spot. This scene is a little bit confusing as far as, is Jeffries supposed to be there, his spirit, like his soul is supposed to be there, or is physically supposed to be there? Because I mean, basically all we see is this metal shape with this kind of smoke coming out of it. So it's a bit confusing. So now we ask a very important question I think a lot of people have probably been asking for since the movie came out. Who is Judy exactly? Apparently, the only thing we really know is that Judy was a contact that Phillip Jeffries had, that thought she had stumbled upon something that possibly was related to the Blue Rose cases they were working on. Jeffries followed up on whatever it was that she had found, and had stumbled upon one of the meetings of the denizens of the Black Lodge, of these woodsmen, as well as Mrs. Tremont and her grandson, or Chalfont, whoever you'd like to call him, the old lady and her grandson. the arm, or the aka the midget in the red suit, as well as Bob, and like I said, some of the woodsmen who looked much more comical in the movie. They did a better job of representing him. But then again, it's in a David Lynch kind of way. They looked rather appropriate. They just look like kind of these goofy looking lumberjack type guys, or / hobo type guys. So they look a lot more kind of menacing now, especially the guy, that we saw in episode 8, Got a Light. That guy was definitely creepy. But unfortunately for Doppelganger, we are no closer to finding out who Judy is and what she wants. Maybe that is part of it. Maybe Judy is the gal that they have locked up in Twin Peaks prison that's got the eyes all messed up in her head or whatever. Maybe she's Judy. I have no idea if that's any way to confirm that, but that's the only kind of oddball person, female that we've found that's entered into this world of Twin Peaks that might have, a possibility of having an alter ego or an alternate persona or alternate identity or whatever you want to call it. Not saying I'm just throwing that out there as a possibility, or we may never find out who Judy is to begin with, or we'll have to figure it out. But Cooper is going to leave disappointed, needless to say, because we still do not know who this mysterious Judy is. So Phillip is kind of messing with Cooper and gives him a phone number, conjures up out in the smoke the numbers, and then he says that that Cooper has met her before. Maybe Diane is also Judy. I don't know. That's like I said, we're at this point of just kind of like it could be anybody really. But who has he met? Like any specific female characters in the show that he came across with that might have this identity. It's doubt it's Audrey. Well, maybe, I don't think it would be Audrey, because, like I said, all of the stuff that it would have happened before Dale got to Twin Peaks, this stuff with Judy is already happening. So someone that he's met before. So I don't know. Like I said, the Judy thing is a mystery. It's not much really to go on. Like I said, Audrey isn't a significant person in Cooper's life in the show, but obviously she would not have anything to do with it, because it wouldn't make any sense to make that her alternate personality, because then she would have been aware of all the Black Lodge crap. Diane is a possibility, though kind of weak. I don't think she knew anything until Doppelganger Dale came into her life and filled her in on all of some of the stuff, and met her after coming back from leaving good Cooper in the lodge. So I don't know. I guess it'll be maybe it'll be a shocker, or maybe it'll be I can't believe I didn't see that one coming type of thing. But at this point, we don't know, like I said, and Doppelganger Dale is very agitated by the fact that he is not able to figure out who this person is. So Doppelganger Dale picks up the phone, and it transports him back out to the outside of the convenience store. So that's about all there she wrote for that scene. He's not going to get any further when it comes to that information. And then lo and behold, old Richard Horn shows up and reveals that he indeed is Audrey Horn's son, which we all kind of figured. They just didn't give us any exact information, but it was pretty obvious. And of course, Audrey was one of the last people, other than Doc Hayward, that saw that Doppelganger either visited or made contact with before leaving Twin Peaks. So they're gonna discuss things because of course, Cooper Evil Dale obviously shares memories and feelings, or past feelings or experiences and whatnot with his other self. I mean, they both have are one and the same. So I'm sure feelings towards Audrey, memories of Audrey and everything, of course, are of interest to him to a certain degree. Plus, that's probably, like you said, where he's most likely going back. So Richard gets to ride along with the Dale Cooper and assuming that this is the same one and not who he really is, which is the shadow self. But apparently Audrey had a picture of Dale, so she probably lamented his vanishing from Twin Peaks and probably was heartbroken for a while. Even I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if old John Justice Wheeler was the father of Richard, but maybe he's not. But we'll have to see. But then again, all right. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, I'm sitting there as I was watching this the first time through the convenience store, and I'm like, this damn thing better vanish out of thin air, and we better be in the Montana woods, because otherwise it's going to make absolutely no sense. And lo and behold, there it does. So I assume that now Cooper is on his way to Las Vegas, and Gordon, Cole, and company are on their way to Las Vegas as well. So that should be, hopefully, the rendezvous point for everybody in the next episode. If everything goes according to plan, though I do think, given the assassination of the casino owner or casino guy and his by Chantal may show that they may be trying to take him out before Evil Dale even gets there. They're a little bit more efficient at their job than some of these lackeys walking around like the Tom Sizemore's character at the insurance firm. All right, next scene, Stephen, Becky, who is, we know, Shelley Johnson's daughter's husband, or her son-in-law, and the gal that he's sleeping around with her in the woods, freaking out about something or other. Probably Becky putting some bullets in the door of his apartment, or the woman he's cheating with's apartment. Are out there in the woods, and then one of the residents of the trailer park with his little Boston Terrier. That's the first thing I noticed, because I like the Boston Terrier breed. They're kick-ass dogs. Spots him, and yada yada. Let's Harry Dean Stanton's character knew that they're hiding out in the woods back there. And then we go to the Roadhouse, and apparently they like ZZ Top. I guess I thought they were going to have another music act. That I was like, God damn, that was pretty early in this show before they have their live music act. And then James and his buddy go in there, and apparently James says hello to the wrong person, the gal that's married that he likes, and James is not the same James of the original run where he stand up for himself. So old One Punch Man and his Green Garden Glove have to take out the guys that are kicking the crap out of James, and they end up getting put in prison cells for the trouble, along with Deputy Douchebag, the lady from another dimension, and what may or not be Billy, who's copying what everyone else says and bleeding all over. So yeah, just James basically, I guess it wasn't a previous episode, he got in a bike accident on his motorcycle, now he's all quiet, so yeah, apparently he turned into a complete wuss. Yeah, so apparently Doppelganger's tired of waiting on his lackeys some of his lackeys to take care of business, so Chantal goes and takes out the guy and his assistant there at the hotel, and is on her way. And another intellectual conversation between her and I'm assuming it's either brother or husband. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, another intellectually stimulating conversation between the two of them. All right, and here's a kind of a trippy scene. Dale or Dougie Cooper is at home enjoying a piece of cake from the wife, and she's thinks everything is hunky dory. And then he, I guess, pushes. I don't know if he was purposely trying to turn the TV on or just was pushing buttons, and eventually a show or movie comes on. I didn't check to see what movie it was, but somebody says to get Gordon Cole, and that the name Gordon Cole basically must be a trigger word for old Dougie Cooper, because that immediately when he hears that, I mean, that's like, something just completely, switch flips in his head. He stares directly at the outlet, goes over and then sticks a fork in the socket, and I thought at least that he might have gotten sucked back in through the light socket and ended up in that room that he was at initially, before the, vice versa, he'd come out as Dougie Cooper. And that was what I expected to happen. And I was like, oh, crap. They're all going to go looking for him in Vegas, and he's disappeared back into the lodge or wherever, or the White Lodge or that, whatever that place was that he made his way into the third dimension via that huge wall socket. But we don't get to see that quite yet. And then the next scene's kind of sad. It was kind of, surreal because, like I said, the lady who plays Margaret Lanterman, actually, I mean, as you can tell, seeing the actress, this was not she was not, doing a character acting, getting into the role as a method actress. I mean, she was dying. So the actress Catherine Coulson, who plays the log lady, is, I mean, that's it's powerful because, I mean, you're someone that's literally, close to death's door, talking about basically accepting that death has come for them. In a scene, in a movie, that's that's being captured, I guess, for future generations or whatnot. And so, yeah, it was pretty powerful scene to hear her talking, and especially given that in the world of Twin Peaks, we have that, the saying from the One-Armed Man about, those who can see Bob the Gifted and the Damned. Well, she's definitely would be considered one of the gifted. And it was interesting that her log was turning to gold, or was becoming golden or something. It was kind of an interesting scene. And then we see the outside of her cabin, and the lights brighten and then fade. And so, yeah, it was and then of course we have the scene with the staff at the sheriff's department, with Lucy and Andy and everything, and especially with Hawk, saying goodbye to her on the phone on the set. I'm not sure, how much further after shooting it was before she passed, but yeah, so that was kind of a touching scene because it transcended the screen to to someone's actual life, and someone that was actually dying of cancer and shortly passed away thereafter. So I think that's it's, like I said, it was. If you've, like said, familiar with the series and have watched it quite a bit and kind of gotten, into it as as a fan and stuff, to see, someone sent off, I guess, in a way like that, it was touching. It definitely was a touching scene. So for those of you that were watching it for the first time, yes, this lady was actually sick and did actually pass away. So. She wasn't a dedicated method actress. At least that wasn't what that was. So anyway, after that we go to Audrey and Charlie, and Charlie's got the coat on, and of course Audrey can't stop just giving him a hard time for whatever reason. And Charlie's got the coat comes off, and then she attacks Charlie. So who knows how this is all going to end up? What is maybe Charlie knows something or did something that is rather heinous that we have yet to find out about. And then, of course, we end the episode. I mean, with a music act, and I'm not sure who the actress is that's playing that girl that's sitting at the one of the booths. It gets moved by the guys and put on the floor, and then kind of flips out at the end. I'm not sure who that was, or what the significance of it was. Anyway, but that is it for episode 15. So, not necessarily one of the best episodes, but good. We had some more, time with, like I said, finally got some more information out of Phillip Jeffries, so not much. Saw a little bit more of how the denizens of the Black Lodge are able to move about and use that convenience store front or whatever as a means to travel to different areas. So that was cool. Kind of give us any means by which we're able to figure out how these beings can kind of move about and are transported, and how their magic, or whatever you want to call it, works is pretty interesting. So yeah, and will be interesting what happens to Dougie Cooper after sticking the fork in the outlet, and to see what that happens. Hopefully, next episode, like I said, we've got 16, I think 18 is the total, so we've got 3 more to go, so I would imagine, at least that this would be the episode where they finally run across Dougie Cooper, especially since, he seems to have, for whatever reason, hearing Cole's name spoken out loud triggered something in his head. So, but we'll have to see. Like I said, I know we have a pretty good idea that since Doppelganger texted Las Vegas to whoever it was, I'm assuming it was Diane, that that's where everyone's headed. So that should be where everybody ends up, in Vegas in episode 16. Something's gonna go down. And I will be there to let you know my thoughts on the episode and a little bit of a breakdown when it happens. So until then, folks, take it easy.